Guys, we'll go ahead and get started if that's okay. So I've got a few notes. I did send those to Chief Love and to Harlan to distribute. I think I saw them come across an email just a couple of minutes ago, but I'll share my screen to start with, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all tell me if you can see. Can you see my notes here? Thumbs up. Okay. So just a couple of, one of the things you always want to do is gauge your performance about your versus what you've done in the past. So if you'll see here, the student numbers, the student certifications issued by the Fire College. Again, you guys got a lot of folks working really hard at the Fire College to make sure that you guys get what you need. So last year at this time, we had 14,000 students. We issued 5,245 certifications. This year so far, we've had 14,000 students attend that, and that includes everywhere throughout the state of Alabama, RTCs, field courses, and all that. But still, 14,000 students. But we've also issued over 6,000 certifications. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were about 800 down. Now we're 800 up. So we've turned that around about 16 to the tune of 1,600 certifications just in a month or so. So again, a lot of hard work going on here at the Fire College, and you guys are doing a great job in the field too at the RTC. So again, appreciate everybody's effort in that regard. So, okay. Just from an informational standpoint, the Fire Officer Series is undergoing an Nfpa-driven standard change. The pilots will occur in August and September, and then we plan to go live with the new Fire Officer Series in January 2022. The significance of that for you is that means new books. We understand there's significant cost associated with that, but it's not our choice. And I promise you, if it was up to us, we wouldn't change, but the NFPA dictates that we do that. In order for us to remain accredited, we have to change as the NFPA standard changes. So just know that that's coming. I will eventually send out the correct names of the books and the ISDN number so that you guys can purchase the right thing. But again, I don't want anybody to go purchase a bunch of books because we are going to make that change coming up in January. So Fire College weekend at the National Fire Academy is August 7th and 8th. There's 50 openings. I think it's on our website. Diana can verify that. But we've got some openings there, so we encourage everybody to travel up there. If you've never been to the National Fire Academy, what a great experience. So the National Fire Sprinkler Association trailer that was donated by NFSA is going to Gulf Shores on August the 5th. It's a great demo if you guys, and we'd love to have participation, news media, and all those folks down there so we can get the word out about residential sprinkler systems. Later on in the notes, I think there's a residential fire sprinkler class that's going to be hosted at the Fire College later in about a month or so. So if you guys know any residential plumbers that want to install sprinkler systems, they have to go to this class, get certified, go to the state fire marshal's office and get signed off. He'll issue them a permit to issue sprinkler or install sprinkler systems. So that's a great program. If somebody wanted to kind of corner the market, I know they do it down on the Gulf Coast quite a bit already, but up here in Central and North Alabama, not so much. So it is a great program, and we'd highly encourage plumbers to go do that. So if you know somebody, tell them to get in touch with us. Know a plumber. The Alabama Association of Volunteer Fire Departments Conference will be held at the Fire College July 24th and 25th. So we're looking forward to hosting our friends there. So it's always a good time to see a bunch of our buddies in the fire service, especially from the volunteer ranks. There is an AMAS Advisory Council meeting on Thursday, May the 13th at 10 o'clock. I sent out, Darren Kleckler will be sending out a Zoom link for that AMAS Advisory Council meeting to those departments who were impacted by that. Here it is. The residential fire sprinkler installer class is July 26th through the 30th. And again, just goes along with, we're trying to promote sprinkler installation in the state of Alabama. So we got word today or yesterday that Jefferson County Unified Command will be fully demobilized on May the 17th. Again, that was a joint effort between Jefferson County EMA and Jefferson County Department of Health, the Alabama Fire College, and many other folks, Diana, David. There were several of us, Tracy, who participated. Reed played significant roles in that effort, from feeding branch to fatality management. So I appreciate everybody's effort at the Fire College in that regard. So it was highly successful. It was led by the planning section chief, Alan Rice. He did a fantastic job. Of course, former executive director of the Fire College. So got to give him props, give him credit where credit's due. So he did a great job with that. So I'm proud to have him lead that effort for Jefferson County EMA and the Department of Health. We did have a IMT tabletop exercise on April 22nd. Madison County EMA, Baldwin County EMA, Shelby County RTC, and here at the Fire College in Tuscaloosa. There were 54 participants. We appreciate those who hosted the event. Joe Lynch planned it for us, and then David was fantastic in facilitating everybody's efforts. So it was very successful. All AMAS teams are required to have functional and mobilization exercises every 2 years, and so we accomplished that with IMT. One of those with IMT. Our goal is to later on this year have a mobilization exercise where we bring some of the AMAS teams here to the Fire College. So planning is still in process for that. And as it gets closer, we'll give everybody advance notice. So one of the things that's important, we've like I'm sure you guys like us have had people telework over the past year or so. One of the problems is attempting to designate exactly what they do, what their duties and responsibilities should be at home versus while they're at work. The state of Alabama has produced telework guidelines. I would highly encourage you to look at those. I understand that the pandemic is hopefully it's waning at this time. We hope that's the case. But if you still have people teleworking, state put out some good guidelines, and we've looked at Alabama DOT, UAB, state of Alaska, and they're all very similar. So if you need those, the link is there in the notes. I would highly encourage you to take a look at those. And basically it says that if you're working at home, you're supposed to be able to work at home. That means answering the phones, doing all the things that you typically do. So that has helped us at the Fire College. I know from a personal standpoint about trying to dictate and moderate what exactly people should be accountable for while they're at home. So obviously some jobs you're not going to be able to, you can't cut grass, Fire College grass while you're at the house. So as much as we'd like to do that, we can't do that. So some jobs are not eligible for telework. So did receive notice from Mobile the other day that former executive director of the Fire College, Bill Langston, passed away. He was 79 years old. So, and say what you will, we wouldn't be in this building if it wasn't for his efforts. And so give credit again where credit's due. We have a fantastic facility. That's the reason our student numbers are the way they are, because the foundation was laid by him, and our folks continue to keep up that effort today. So as well as the commission. So appreciate everybody's support there. But again, give Mr. Langston credit where credit's due. So we're very excited to announce Miss Lori House from Utah Valley University. She basically is Kim's counterpart in Utah. She's going to be joining the certification unit here as Deputy Director of Certification. She brings a huge amount of experience to the table. She's on the IFSAC several committees. I think she's deputy chair or co-chair of a couple of the significant committees. And so again, she brings a lot of experience to the table. And so we're very excited to have her come on board. So, and that'll be later on this summer. She's actually got a site visit due in Utah. We want to allow her to get finished with her duties there before she comes, and she can be fully focused on Alabama Fire College. Again, you guys have heard me say that we're only as good as the support we get from above. And I'll tell you, the commission has done great for the Fire College and for the fire service. We're currently soliciting proposals for a storage building for our props. That building is about 125 by 250. It's going to be expensive. And so I won't go into how much that's going to be, but it's going to be very expensive. But it'll be a building that the fire service can be proud of for years to come, and will long surpass my tenure as well as the commissioners. So the commission has also approved, well, I said that solicitation of proposals for the 125 by 250 building, expedited refurbishment of mobile burn trailer 3. We continue to have problems with that unit as it's out in the field. And just to be honest, it gives us a black eye. We want you guys to be able to train with the props that you're paying for. And so the commission has recommended that we send that for refurbishment. Go ahead and get that done. It's going to be about $120,000 to get it refurbished. We just got the other one back, and it's not placed in service yet. So we've done 2 this year. This was part of our capital improvement plan over a period of 5 to 10 years, but we've been able to expedite some of the things that we had planned for because we continue to gain revenues and be blessed by the state legislature for the allocations that they continue to provide for us. So we have, the commission also approved purchase of a new over-the-road tractor to pull our mobile props. We had a unit that had one of the Navistar motors in it. There's a class action suit about that right now. And so that unit is at the end of its service life, we believe. And so we're going to go ahead and upgrade that over-the-road tractor as well. So, and then we're also getting some more information about the resurfacing some of the asphalt. It's beginning to deteriorate. It's 20 years old. And so again, a lot of upgrades going on around the fire college. I think Chief Darby has mentioned a lot of things going on. These are a few of those items. And I just wanted to mention to you, since the commission has given approval for us to begin looking at those things. So as part of the updated learning management system and the department dashboard that we've been working on behind the scenes here, we'll be soon requesting information from you guys in the fire service about your points of contact and who will have the levels of access to gather, to upload, and download information from our database. And so we think it's going to streamline processes for you as well as for us. So, but you'll see some forms coming out from the Alabama Fire College asking for your permission or your designation of people to receive certain levels of credentials for access to information. So very excited about that. It's going to save work here at the Fire College as well as you guys out in the field, and hopefully cut down on some of the confusion if you're involved in the upload of this information. So we have drafted an MOU between the Alabama Association of Fire Chiefs and the Alabama Fire College. And the point of that was for the conference to help relieve some of the financial burden or responsibility or liability potentially for the Fire College. And I think Chief Love, he may want to speak on that, but basically it's going to put some of the ownership, not that it wasn't before, but it formally puts the ownership for that conference back in the hands of the Alabama Association of Fire Chiefs. And I think we all agree that that's a good thing. So just a couple of pieces of legislation I'll briefly hit on. The Joint Fire Council will be receiving funding for earmarked funds for peer support. 50 cents of every dollar from the sale of distinctive firefighter license plates will be going towards peer support. We have program managers in place, 2 program managers, as well as a clinician that we're working with currently, and they're doing a great job, but they've been pretty limited based on the limited amount of funds that we've had. And so this will help bolster their efforts and get peer support closer where we need it to be in the state of Alabama. So we're very excited about that. HB 112 will allow the Alabama Fire College to certify peer support members. And so again, just part of this peer support training process. And so we're very happy about that. Formerly, ALEA was the only entity that was allowed to certify peer support members. So this will allow the Fire College to do that too. So we've seen a little bit of the peer support language in some of the other standards. And so we believe that's going to come in the Firefighter 1 and 2 standard when it's revised eventually. And again, it'll just help bolster our efforts in that regard, specifically where certification is concerned. Lastly, the Education Trust Fund was sent to the governor for signature. We did request an 8% increase. They allocated a 6%. But that's okay. We'll take that. That equates to a little over $300,000. And so we're, again, any additional allocation that we can get based on COVID and everything else, we're very happy to get that. I did have a couple other things. Chief Kendrick did want to mention something about the pipeline, the Colonial Pipeline. So I'll defer to him in just a minute. We have had, and I'll tell you guys that we've had an issue with falsification of records in 2 different instances recently. I will tell you that I'm not going to comment much on that because there's an investigation ongoing, and it's not going to end with the Fire College. I'll just say that. And so we've got to take this seriously. Falsification of records puts you at jeopardy, your departments, and the public. And so we'll just leave it at that. So, and that's all I have. Any questions for me? All right, with that, Chief Love.
Thank you, Matt. I guess first thing we'll mention is remind everybody of the upcoming summer conference in Perdido, August the 8th through 11th. Early bird registration is $225, and that ends on July 1. So get the opportunity to register early. I have sent out flyers, postcards, email to all of our groups that I can. If you haven't received any documentation on it or are interested in it, you feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'll make sure you have that in your hand. As Matt mentioned, the fire college's attorney worked on it and got an MOU. In our winter conference. We agreed that financially we were in a better position as the Alabama fire chiefs, and it was a good time for us to take on the financial responsibility of the conference. We're in a shared event there, equal partners, but if there was a problem, it would be much easier for the Alabama fire chiefs to manage it, since we're not dealing with government funds. So we thought it was, we voted it was in the best interest to move in that direction. But through this MOU, it's still going to give us some tax-free status availability. So it's a win-win for everybody. I've sent that out to the executive board, and we should have that ready to go by the end of the week. I don't see any problems with that. Other things we've been working on and at the Alabama Fire Chiefs, of course, a lot of legislation. We really were working hard on HB 220, which affected inspections, plans review, and oversight for educational facilities across the state. It's passed both the houses, and it is sitting on the governor's desk as of right now. We followed up quite a bit with the governor's office. Several of the professional organizations, such as architects, builders associations, have also followed up. We're assuming that she's going to sign. It's going to become law, which is going to be pretty detrimental for a lot of things across the state. There won't be any oversight, won't be any inspections at any community college level. And then at K through 12, there won't be any oversight whatsoever for projects under $500,000. So you'll have education buildings being built just at the mercy of how good an architect or an engineer prepares themselves to build that building. There'll be no oversight whatsoever. Not a good thing for our state. HB 212, the PTSD bill, we as a group, we were pretty strong against it because it was poorly designed. Toward the end, had some push for us to withdraw. We've withdrawn our opposition with a lot of concerns, but it's still sitting still. I looked at the legislative agenda today. It looks like it's still waiting for a third reading. I don't know if it's going to make it out of the House or not, but if it passes, it's going to need a lot of work. If it doesn't pass, well, that gives us an opportunity. Not just from the fire chief standpoint, but from the fire service across the state of Alabama. We need to come together and work with our legislators and build some good structure for a law that helps all of our people, because mental health treatment and availability is something all responders need. Police, fire, EMS, dispatchers, and we have really got to work on that. Chief Darby's on here. He's been working with the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks, and we formally pushed out letters of some upcoming possibilities to all our legislative delegation up in Washington. And I've received back 2 responses so far. So we know it's in the hands of Senator Shelby, and it's in the hands of Representative Carl, or according to their emails, they got that. So our committees are working. We've been heavily involved in legislative work this year. I can't say we've been successful, but I can say we've been heavily involved. Hopefully this year, coming back after COVID, we've stirred the pot, so to say, that in years to come, at least we may get a better seat at the table when it comes time for drafting the legislation which affects the fire service. Other than that, and I know Sean's going to talk a little bit about the possible fuel shortages, or the possibility of it, if y'all are not aware of that. That's really all we have. I really want to look forward to seeing all y'all at the summer conference. We're bringing in one outside speaker, and then we're going to be using roundtables and discussion points for the things that we faced across the state this year, between tornadoes, instant command issues, the COVID-19. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year. The survey that was sent out that Diana actually put together, I read through all the responses to that. And one of the things that overwhelmingly people said that they wanted to see more of issues that were here locally, how we manage issues here locally, speakers that affected that. So I think we're going to move in that direction for the summer conference, and we look for it to be a really good event. So if you get an opportunity, please sign up and join us down there. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Tim. Just one other note about students. David, before the meeting, came in and handed me a note, said we got 2 students from England, 1 from South Korea, and then 9 other states are represented. So again, Apparently somebody thinks we're doing things okay. So that's always encouraging. So with that, Kafka, is Marvin on here? Anybody from Kafka? Sean, Chief Kendrick?
Hey, Matt, really my comment earlier before we got started was more in the form of a question, but I'll just, I offer it up to this group. I know that our city does not have a strategic fuel supply or reserve. And I checked with our county EMA yesterday. And as far as I can tell, there is no readily available strategic supply or emergency supply in our area if this pipeline event doesn't get corrected. I know that the Plantation pipeline is still running and it provides about a third of the capacity, I believe, compared to Colonial. So that, things are obviously will slow down in the next few days if it doesn't get corrected. But I just wanted to pose it to the group and brainstorm a little bit and find out if there are any resources out there that some of us may not know about. We've topped off everything we have. Every vehicle we have is full of fuel. But I know that won't last but a few days if our city runs out. And I'll tell you guys this, I spoke with one of our local gas station owners, and he told me that he would be out of fuel by Wednesday and did not know when he would get any more in, because I know all of those gas stations typically keep about a 3-day supply when they're on hand, when their tanks are full. So just kind of throwing it out there to see if anybody on here has any resources that we may not know about. Chief Stevens, I don't know if you know anything that the Guard or the military might have if it comes to it.
I currently do not. I will reach out to them today and see if they've got anything. It's not gotten too bad in our area. I was made aware that one of our fueling points, which is just a gas station with a fuel card that we use, has cut it down to a 15-gallon maximum. But that does not affect public safety. But I will put some feelers out with the military and shoot an email if I get any response back.
We're going to be in a county LEPC meeting shortly, and there'll be some Colonial folks there, hopefully. And if I find out any information from them that's not public or out in the news yet, I'll pass it along to this group.
Chief Kendrick?
Yeah.
With schools going out, a couple of school systems probably have some tanker trucks for filling of buses. We have one in Sumter County and have procured the services of it and are going to keep it full. I think it's a 500-gallon truck. So that is an option for some departments that may have schools in rural areas.
Sure.
Yeah, now just sitting here thinking, Chief Kendrick, timing, I got out a little bit early this morning, and at 5 o'clock or so, there's not that many people on the road. So fueling your fire truck's one thing, but you got to get firefighters to ride on fire trucks. So they got to have fuel too. So,
That's right.
if those fuel supplies do come back slowly, then I know a lot of those folks fill their tanks at night, in the evenings or at night. And so maybe to get them out early in the morning so they can get fuel. I don't know, I'm just speaking off the top of my head. I don't know that for sure. So
Sure.
Anyway.
That was it, man. I just wanted to throw some
Okay.
discussion out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Anybody from the Southeast? Southeast, going once. All right, Southwest.
Hey, good morning. Just a couple comments from the Southwest. One on the fuel issue. As of right now, of course, everybody's in panic mode, and that's affecting what our stations have. But from what we're being told, most of our supply in the south part of the state, or at least Southwest, comes from Pascagoula and New Orleans. And so those supply chains are not affected as of right now. So hopefully we're going to be okay if people will just settle down a little bit. I talked to the gas station owner this morning that was expecting a drop later today, and we've got a drop coming for our city today or tomorrow. So if people will just, again, settle down a little bit, I think we're going to be okay. But for those in middle and northern parts of the state that are directly affected, you might want to reach out to, again, down south and see what supply chains may be able to help you out there. As far as Southwest Association goes, we've got our bi-monthly meeting coming up next week, next Thursday. Looking forward to a good crowd there. We had a really good crowd at our last meeting, so hopefully we can keep growing those numbers. We've got a number of things obviously going on in the south part and southwest part of the state as far as development goes. We're just booming with development, and all of us are still every day trying to get our head around that. So I think that's all I've got from the Southwest.
How about from the commission, Chief, while you got the floor?
Yeah, just reiterate a couple of things that Matt said. We had a very productive meeting last month, approved a number of projects. We've been blessed to have good support from the legislature. And it looks like that's continuing, as Matt said, with the allocation. I was looking at around $330,000 increase, which is positive because those allocations carry forward. Those aren't just one-time lumps of money that come to us. And so with that combined with what looks to be, oddly enough, a very successful past year, productivity-wise, business-wise, we're going to be able to tackle some projects that, quite frankly, if you'd asked me a year and a half ago, I probably would have said maybe not. But as Matt said, that the prop building is a sizable project. Started out not so big and has become a very, very big project. But we're blessed to be able to even consider it. So looking forward to that. And as Matt said, we are very aware of the need to keep our fleet and our mobile props moving and up to date. That's something we have to do to service our customers throughout the state, and we're going to continue to support that any way we can and get those vehicles, equipment out there. So we're excited to be able to move forward with that. I will make just a very general statement to follow up on what Matt alluded to. The integrity of our certification process is the backbone of who we are as a commission and as a fire college. And we're going to do whatever's necessary to maintain that integrity. And so, yes, we've got some issues, and the media, especially here in South Alabama, the media has been reporting daily, literally daily since the end of last week on one particular issue. And as far as I'm concerned, we will pursue that in every direction we can. And it is in the hands of our legal counsel now. But I want to make sure everybody understands how important that is, and that we maintain the integrity of our certifications, and that piece of paper means much more than just a piece of paper. So I'll leave it at that. But again, as always, very proud of the work that the staff is doing. The numbers, as Matt showed you, numbers kind of speak for themselves in a very trying last year, quickly approaching a year and a half. And we keep servicing the community of the fire service that we're supposed to service, and very proud of that. So obviously, as I always say, if there's anything I can do, any questions, concerns, help I can provide, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But certainly appreciate all the work the staff's doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Darby. All right, is Gene Coleman on to give a report on Southeast? I did not see him on here. So, Tim, you want to say anything about the Southeast?
Yep, the Southeastern Conference coming up in Biloxi, June 23rd, I think that week of it. It's in conjunction with Mississippi Fire Chiefs Association meeting for that particular week. They've got a really good agenda. I know Pete Blank is going to be there, that was at our summer conference, and he has got actually 2 sessions over 2 days that he's going to be speaking. It's available. All the information is available on the Southeastern Fire Chief's website. And there's also, I sent out a notice the other day for Gene that there's an app available. You can download that app, and you can do everything from the app if you need to. It's going to be hosted at the IP Casino. That sounds like that might be fun. So if you get the opportunity, sign up for that. And, as far as the Southeastern thing, next year, that actually is going to be in the state of Alabama. Mobile is going to be the host site, and the Alabama Fire Chiefs will be working in conjunction. We'll have a combined conference at that time. And Chief Lamy, who is actually coming on the board for the Alabama Fire Chiefs at this session in August, his department will be the central host of it. And City of Mobile has just been great. So if you get an opportunity to participate in all those things, it's a great learning environment. Get to meet a lot of people from across the Southeast, and the Southeastern Fire Chiefs Conference is one of the strongest in the international. So you need to take part in that, and you can have some shared partners. Thanks.
All right. Anybody? Let's see. Stinson came in just a couple of minutes ago. Stinson's still in the Guard, and he says that he spoke to the command chief, and the command chief with the National Guard says that they have strategic fuel supplies that are allocated to the EMA. So if you need fuel, the local EMA would be your point of contact. And so that's what they recommend. And so Chief Stevens could probably verify that as well. So that's the route that they're recommending at this time. All right. Does anybody else have anything for the group?
Hey, Chief Russell, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, my name's Sam Johnson. I've met you, met some of you before. I'm the fire chief of the town of Bluntsville now. We do have some legislation we want to try to get passed, but we wanted to go in front of everybody. I guess everybody here is familiar with the 1072 program.
Could you explain it just briefly?
Forestry runs where you can get equipment donated to you. Program forestry runs where you can get like military equipment donated to you, fire trucks and everything. Alabama is the only state that forestry runs. Everybody else, it works like the 1033 program. That's the police program where they can find equipment online, just do the paperwork and go pick it up. Well, in Alabama, because that it's set up the way it is, I've got examples where fire chiefs have been with other police chiefs picking up equipment. We can't get equipment like that. They've had fire engines that had to be destroyed that we couldn't even use, like 5-year-old engines. Well, what the problem is we have multiple volunteer departments right here in Blount County. They operate on about $18,000 to $20,000 a year, which you and I know that's not much. They don't have time to pay and work on their equipment. We're constantly having to work on equipment. What we're wanting to propose is take that from the hands of forestry. Forestry doesn't have time to do it. This is not a swipe at them. They have like 2 people to do all the screening, do all the going and picking stuff up. But if we would operate as other states and allow the fire chiefs to get online, find the equipment. Right now, if you get online as a fire chief, and I found the equipment on the GSA website, if I locate it and call forestry and tell them, it goes to forestry and it goes to the top of the list and they give it to the next person in line. The problem with that is most departments in our county have already give up all their forestry equipment because it's so wore out what we're getting from them. I just had a truck give to my department. I spent almost $1,000 on it before I give it back to forestry. And I never did get it working right. It was just a pickup. But what we're proposing, we want to go through the legislators and change it, but we want the fire chiefs backing on this. I mean, there's multiple departments, they're not getting their training done because they're too busy working on trucks. I understand we need the training, but it's really starting to handicap our departments. We're really having trouble getting volunteers, which I know that's everywhere, but we're having a lot of issues. And if we could get that program where we could get decent equipment, it would certainly help in that situation. But I've got to have backing. I know we can't just do it out of Blount County. Scott Payne is the mayor. Y'all may know him. He's the mayor of Allgood, and he's also the fire chief at Allgood. Scott is one of the ones that a 5-year-old truck, he was in North Carolina at the military base. And at the base, they tried to give him the truck. He said, I can't. I'm not with the police department. They immediately knew what he was talking about. He said, I'm from Alabama. They said, oh, we can't give it to you. He said they took it downrange and Special Forces blew it up. So nobody's getting this stuff. Because when other departments are full, but Alabama's not getting this stuff because of the way our program's set up. The 49 other states are not set up that way. They're set up like the 1033 program where the chiefs can look and the chiefs can go get the equipment. I'd be glad to pay $5,000 to get a piece of equipment shipped to me that was usable and in good shape that I didn't have to work on all the time. But see, and we're wanting the backing of fire chiefs. I know not to try to go to legislation with just a couple of representatives. We need backing throughout the state. The volunteer chiefs, the Volunteer Chief Association. I need help figuring out how to put this thing, what we need to do. It's not only me that wants it. There's a lot of chiefs wanting it, but nobody seems to take the ball and try to go with it.
All right, it looks like you're breaking up a little bit, Chief, unless you're
You
finished.
still there, Chief?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I
So
know
my initial, and I'll let Chief Love address his thoughts on this. He's been a chief of a smaller department as well, but I think the Joint Fire Council should probably be consulted about this. That includes forestry, the volunteers, and AFA and everybody else. So I think maybe that's a route that we could get not just support from the Alabama Association of Fire Chiefs, but from all the major groups in the state of Alabama. And I think that would be for us to be transparent, put everything out on the table and say, hey, we're having these issues. And then let's have a conversation about how we can expedite the process, whatever that might entail. But I think this is just one voice, but the Joint Fire Council has all the voices at the table. I think that would be most appropriate. So I'll defer to Chief Love further.
I think that's the best start to take. One of the things, because it won't happen this legislative session, it'll be the next legislative session. It closes out next week. But between now and that time, the discussion needs to start. So a couple of things, specifics, what the exact program is, we would need that. We would need probably some examples from some other states of how they're doing this, what the program actually is. And at that point, start getting someone to draft that legislation and finding a sponsor that would push that through. Early on, learning what the politics of our politics is at the state level is important to see. Whether you like to admit it or not, you got to be very careful of whose toes you step on when you're trying to push something through like that. I'm in 100% agreement with it. If there's some way that we can get surplus equipment, you mentioned the smaller volunteer departments, but there's a lot of departments around that could use some of that equipment that's available. But I think the key to this is starting early, getting it before the Joint Fire Council early as a consideration point, most definitely. And anything that affects the fire service in the state of Alabama needs to come to the Joint Fire Council first, because that's the quickest way to get it before all the groups.
Yes.
Forestry is a member of that also, so they would be in on the initial thought of it. And to get legislation pushed through in this state, and especially get it pushed through on the first round that you try to do it, you've got to be out front early. You've got to get lots of support early and make sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes down the road, because that's the killer of legislation in the state of Alabama. Some really, really good bills sit and just stagnate and they never move forward. But I'm like Matt, I'm just one voice, but I don't see any fire service professional in the state being against a way to get some good equipment at all. So whatever help I can offer you, I'll be glad to. And then probably reach out to Reed, John, Lord, one of those, to start that discussion with the Joint Fire Council.
Chief Johnson, what I'll do is I'll get you hooked up with Reed Vaughn. I'll get him to reach out to you, get the particulars about, and then maybe get you put on the Joint Fire Council agenda. I think we've got to have a face-to-face meeting here coming up pretty soon. So maybe an opportunity for you to speak to that body as well. So I think that would be a good avenue for you. So.
Thank you, Chief Russell.
Yes, sir. Hey, anything else to offer from anybody? Chief Johnson, thank you for bringing that to the table for us. So we'll definitely get Reed to get in touch with you. Hey, the last thing I have, and I just looking over my notes, I did want to mention Chief Darby had brought an issue to us about tags. their probate office contracts with the company called Ingenuity. They have they contract with 20 of the 67 states in the state of Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. But there was an issue where they were transposing their status, whether it be career, volunteer, or paid or volunteer, with a middle initial. And so that was causing some issues. And we believe that we've got that circumstance worked out. But if anybody knows of their probate office contract with Ingenuity, just monitor the circumstance. So we wouldn't want anybody not to be qualified for a tag because they had the wrong middle initial, supposedly. So, and I don't know if Chief Darby want to say anything else about that.
Yeah, Matt, that was one of the problems. The other problem was that for the Alabama Fire College database, they linked to it and did not distinguish between paid and career and volunteer. And so through that, a volunteer could go to the tag office and the tag office would just assume that they were eligible for the professional firefighter tag. So the thing is actually complicated on several levels. And then our probate judge, I got him, fortunately, he was at the office when I brought it to their attention, and he was very concerned moving forward with, of course, this legislation to provide some extra funding. So, everything just seemed to complicate, and hopefully we're on the right track getting that resolved. But it sounds, at the surface, sounds trivial, but it actually could cause a lot of problems in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, the name of the company is Ingenuity. And so just if you have any issues, y'all can contact me, or they can contact Ingenuity, whatever. But I think we're going to be integral to moving that process forward to make sure we get it changed. So anyway, with that, anybody have anything else? All right.